What's up, Tweener heads? Welcome back to another Tweener Head Tennis video today here on our channel. If you are new to the channel, hey, how's it going? My name's Phil, and this is where we get to talk about tennis in a more casual way for you guys to understand what's going on and off the court, and just have some fun with the sport of tennis itself. Today we have a very special conversation with Zach Thomas, the Tennis Pro Doc on YouTube, a very fun channel to watch, so I definitely recommend you guys checking it out. The guy opens shoes, the guy tests shoes, does a lot of reviews, and it's really fun to watch how he goes about it because he is a trained professional. He's a physician. A lot of his clients play tennis, so he really knows his stuff when dissecting and talking about what shoes are the best for you. So I definitely recommend you guys checking out his channel. And if you do like this video, make sure you are subscribed to the channel to make sure you're not missing any new videos that we're posting here on Tweener Head Tennis. So make sure you leave a like and make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on. I hope you guys do enjoy this video with Tennis Pro Doc Zach Thomas. Here we go. From what we just talked about before recording, I wanted to kind of get into that a little bit more because you have a background of just working, hard work, and getting people recommendations for footwear. And you were saying to me before you started making videos to kind of tell your clients, okay, this is what I recommend, rather than constantly telling the same people over and over again what they need to do. And that's kind of what inspired you to do these videos, right?
Yeah, it was purely out of convenience. I have a large tennis patient population because where I grew up, I worked at a tennis center that's no more than like 3 or 4 miles from where I'm a physician now. And so all the same people I played with and that I taught when I was in high school and college are now my patients. And so I have a very, very large tennis population. And so I really got sick of saying the exact same thing over and over again. So I thought I'll just make a video on it. I can just send them there. And then that's kind of how it all snowballed to this.
And now you do reviews literally on almost every new shoe that comes out. And for me, seeing you break open a shoe that's $150 really does make me cry inside a little bit.
Yeah, every time every morning when I open my computer, I have 6 tabs opened, and it's eBay, Amazon, and every tennis tennis gear company out there.
Yeah.
And I will get the shoe that day, and I'll pay for the expedited shipping to get it before just before it kind of hits mainstream. So I'm kind of the first person to get them. But yeah, I mean, I had a budget for the channel set aside when I first started it. My wife gave me, she's like, this is how much money you get, and that's it. You better make it last.
Yeah.
And so that's, my content decisions are very strict. Now, some of these shoes I stock eBay and I stock all those kind of like secondhand. And if there's someone that bought a pair and just didn't like them, they're the wrong size, I want to take them back. I have actually gotten a pair of some of these shoes are $120, $130, $49, and I'll get them for like $60, $70 just because someone's trying to unload them. And I'm just, in between patients, I'm just sitting looking at, making sure there's a shoe, if there's a shoe there. And so that's kind of how I get them sometimes for that cheap.
And why'd you start cut opening the shoe? Because that's what really caught my eye, because I feel like compared to people who do sneaker reviews, compared to people that do racket reviews, no, they go into the technology from a surface value. With you being a physician, you really dive into literally the inside of someone's foot.
So what happened was when I was a surgical resident, someone from a orthotic company came in and said, this is going to fix everything. You're no more knee pain, no more all this and the other. And he said, because it has this piece of gel in it that is going to, this is like the next revolution in feet. I thought, all right, whatever. So I went home and I took my saw and I cut it open because I was like, there's no way. And I went in there and it's this little thin film, almost like saran wrap. And I don't know what the hell is this going to do. And so when Adidas came out with the Stycon, and they said, oh, it has this huge drop on the midsole and it's got all this stuff in there and the BOA closure, I'm thinking, there's no way.
Yeah. And
then I opened it up and I was like, oh man, there's actually something to this. This is really cool. And then I showed it to some people and they're like, oh, you got to put this up. And so that's how I started doing it. And and then when the Nike GP Turbos came out,
love those.
At first, yeah, you had the first video on. And when they came out, Nike on their website, like on their product website where the patents are, said double stacked Zoom Air unit. I said, I got to find this. I got to find out. And stupid me, when I cut it open, I saw there's an airbag on top and then a Zoom Air on the bottom. I said, oh yeah, it's double stacked. And no, that's a Strobel unit on top and the stacked Zoom Air on the bottom. And oh man, the comment section on my video just lit up with people. You're wrong. You're wrong. No.
Yeah.
And so I saw, you know, for better or for worse, it does really get people kind of excited about these shoes. And unlike running and unlike basketball, where shoes are such an integral part of it, and there is just there's a show on ESPN about basketball shoes now.
Yeah.
And whereas in tennis, there's just not. No one. It just does. It's we're an afterthought, you know, to some of these big companies. And so I just thought, you know, there are a lot to these shoes, and there is a ton of engineering from a, you know, mechanical and a medical perspective of these shoes. And so it would be nice if, you know, I could bring that to people, because there is a lot to be gleaned from opening these shoes and seeing what feet they're good for, what foot they're not good for.
So what do you look for when it comes to, because now I want to get into the shoe talk of it, because you've done so many shoes. You did the Sticons, you've done the GT Turbos, you've done, I believe, the Ubersonics that I currently wear, Asics. You've almost done every brand and broke it open. Which one, like, what do you look for first when you open up a shoe?
When I open them up, number one, I look for how far does the lace closure system actually sew into the midsole? Because that's going to tell me if your foot's going to roll in them too much. Okay. Next, I check out what proprietary technology these companies claim to have, and if it really does anything. Okay. So Asics is a great example. Now, I'll preface this by saying I think the Asics Court FF2 is one of the greatest tennis shoes that's ever been made. Okay. It is every surface it is good for, every foot type almost it is good for. It is one of the greatest shoes out there. It is like the Barricade on steroids. Really? And Novak Djokovic designed it. They designed it for him. And he's one of the best movers. You love him or hate him otherwise. He's one of the best movers on the tour, you know, just bar none. Regardless. And so, you know, and that shoe just performs better than just about anything. However, Asics Gel, GEL, if you look at the videos of me taking the gel out of the shoe, that gel is this thin. That's not doing anything. It feels good for me. I don't know. I mean, I weigh 190 pounds. For 10 minutes, it's going to feel good, but I'm going to bottom it out, right? Yeah. So it's stuff like that, you know, I really look forward to, you know, this is really doing anything. And so, you know, Asics Gel was one of the big things I thought, I guess this can't do anything. This can't be doing anything. And, you know, in Nike, some of the Zoom Air things, like the GP Turbo with the airbag, and people were saying, no, it's not double stack. And it is. There are two pieces of air. One is, you know, one's under high pressure and one's just a waterbed. And so that's kind of what I look for. And then, you know, next I kind of look for what kind of midsole foam they're using. Okay. You know, so big example, Adidas Boost versus Bounce. I was about to say, yeah. Everybody, if you type in Adidas Boost into YouTube or Google, it's like 20 pages of just people, just it's this, it's that, it's the other. It's memory foam. I mean, that's really, I mean, it's really accommodating. It's super comfortable. It's good on your joints. You have heel pain. It's great. If you want to jump higher and run faster, you know, like the Sandlot or whatever, you want Bounce foam. But no one talks about Bounce foam because Boost was marketed more. And if you look at Garbiñe Muguruza, if you look at Dominic Thiem, they're wearing Bounce foam midsoles. Yeah.
All of them Boost. Are. Even Sissipas is using it as well, because I remember when Sissipas, when the Sticon first came out, before I bought them, I currently have a pair. Also, it hugs your foot very tightly. Like, I think I got
the regular one with the elastic?
The regular one, not the BOA, the regular one. Yeah. I was surprised, and it pressures my foot too much, and that's why I think I like laces more. But when Sissipas first had the Sticons, 2 days later, he moved back to the Bounce. Yep. Because there's no way, because it was all ATP Cup. It was a marketing ploy because his shoelace broke in DC and was still breaking. Then they made a guard, and then they said, okay, we're just going to make you a laceless. They made a guard for it, and then they made a laceless shoe. But no one's going to use the laceless shoe unless you have ankle problems. And one of the guys that I teach, or is at my club, he uses them because he played high top basketball with high top basketball shoes, and that's what helps his ankle. So I thought that was interesting to see what Adidas did, especially kind of moving away from Boost for tennis shoes.
And you know, the Sticon, the BOA or the BOA, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
that's one of the best tennis shoes out there. If it weren't
really
so heavy, if it weren't 16 ounces, that would be one of the best tennis shoes. So you know, I've been snowboarding since I was 5.5, and you know, as soon as they started coming out with the BOA on the snowboard boots, I got it, and I think that's a great way to do it. That gives you a much more even tension on your foot in terms of the laces than you can ever get with any type of lace closure. There's just no way you can get that kind of tie down because they're steel tines. And so they will just hold your foot a lot better. And so, but they're so heavy just because of everything going on in them. So if they found a way to make that shoe lighter, and I think I said it in one of my videos, I think when I compared the Sticon and the Sticon BOA, I said, if they could find a way to make the BOA lighter, everybody would be wearing it.
If they made it as light as the Sticon with the BOA technology, in my opinion, it would work
saying, like, if they made it like in between like the Ubersonic and the SoulCourt Boost, if they in that 13 to 14 ounce range for a 10.5, they'd have something. But no one's gonna play in a shoe that's over 16 ounces. That's
it's so heavy. It's so heavy, especially for tennis when you need more agility than anything, really. And that's actually interesting that you brought that up, because the BOA reminded me of the Ubersonic 3s that Tennis Warehouse released that was laceless. Or it had like the little – do you remember seeing those? Yes. I never got to try them on because when I first recorded my video when I went down to Tennis Warehouse, they weren't out yet, but it was in the store. It was a prototype. But then they released it a month later, and I still couldn't try it on. But I don't think people like laceless tennis shoes, because K-Swiss did it as well. Did you see that one?
Yeah, and
it was under the slip. It was laces underneath the tongue.
Yeah, and you know, Nike did the glove, the GLVs, where they did the zipper over the
Oh, that's right. The Rafa shoe,
the Vapor 10,
the Aqua shoe.
It was the Vapor 10. They did the glove, and then they did the Arctic Wolf, and that was like 2018, something like that. 2019.
Yeah, actually, Rafa used them last year in Rome. He tried them out.
Right. And the thing is that neoprene that pulls over, that elastic that pulls over it.
Yeah.
It just gets heavy and it traps too much heat. The idea is good to protect your laces. I think it's great. You just gotta get the weight down. You know, then you have like that keychain on it, you know, that's flopping around. I mean, who wants to play with that? So I mean, there's, you know, like I said, this technology there, and it's good that they're trying new things. You know, I like that there's new stuff coming out, and that you know, we're trying to progress a little more tennis tech, because, you know, I think that's a great way to grow the sport, is to, you know, try to grow a culture around it. You know, tennis is quickly becoming a cult sport. It's becoming like curling in the United. I mean, not in other countries in the United States. And I do think that kind of getting people more excited about this stuff.
In the U.S., it is.
Translate the.
Yeah. In U.S., I would say it's not. I wouldn't say it's because it's more globally known. And it's played in almost every country. I wouldn't say it's a cult per se, but professionalism wise, I would definitely say people that follow it, it becomes more of a cult status in a way.
Yeah, you know, I just remember, you know, even from the early 2000s till now, it just seems like it's getting, you know, it's gotten less popular here, and you know, and so I don't know, it would be nice if we could get a little more of a resurgence like golf had in the early 2000s. You know, because it's there, you know, it's just, you know, people would be interested. It's just, you know,
they just need that one person that's going to push them, which besides the big three, no one, maybe team now, but no one really has made that big push.
Yeah.
At least marketing wise.
Right.
I think you said this before. You said Asics was the best probably tennis shoe that's ever made.
The Court FF2. Yeah.
Yes, the Court FF2. Would you say that's the best one you've opened up and tried?
It just depends. I mean, you know, there's no best shoe. There's a best shoe for your foot.
Yes.
I think that fits the most feet, and it fits the most game styles. I think the best, like, I mean, if you'd say, like, you know, from a foot doctor's perspective, what's the best shoe out there? It's probably the Adidas SoulCourt Boost. But in terms of like an all court shoe, something you could wear on every single surface or for every single foot type, that if someone could find something they like in a shoe, it'd probably be the Court FF2. If you're going to play on a hard court, I think right now it's probably the GP Turbos. Maybe the Court FF2. The Eclipsean 3 also is right behind the
like
Court FF2s. It's just too narrow for most people. But the engineering, if they made the shoe wider, and I think there's a wide version of it, but just the standard shoe, if they made it a little wider, that'd probably be, in my mind, be just as good as the Court FF2.
Have you? I couldn't seem to find. Did you do a K-Swiss review yet?
I did. I did the Hyper Ultra Shot 2s, I think. Let me see. Yeah, I think I did the Ultra Shot. Yeah, Ultra Shot 2.
It seems like K-Swiss, I keep hearing this from retailers, that K-Swiss is the #1 selling shoe in the United States for tennis. And for me, like,
really?
Trust me, I'm still confused by it. Or it's one of the most popular.
But I mean, they're inexpensive, so that might just be their lane they occupy.
What does K-Swiss offer that so many people like for just a casual tennis player or that plays like on the weekends? What do you think they offer?
Number one, you can get a flagship shoe for under $100. So you can get a shoe that's got just as much in it as, an Adidas Soul Court or a Nike Vapor 10. And it's, I got the K-Swiss that I bought one for $70 and one for $79. And they were just as good as anything else. I think that the Ultra Shot line, which is more their little more substantial shoe, that's, it's kind of like the Barricades. The Hyper Courts, it's kind of a mixture between the Ubersonics and the Soul Court Boost. I mean, they are good shoes. I have two of them right now. I think I have the Hyper Court Express. That's that bright yellow one. So I have the Hyper Court Express. I never did a review on it. And then the Ultra Shot 2. And both of them I thought were great. And they're always on sale. There's always a sale on them. So if you're looking for a shoe for under $100, like the best performance shoe for under $100, it's K-Swiss.
It's K-Swiss. Interesting. I like that.
In terms of a new, if you want a new shoe for under 100 or this year's line. Yeah.
Okay. Compared it to the Barricade, was Barricade the best shoe you've ever worn?
No. It's so the Barricade 2, I think it was the 2, was, probably one of the most ubiquitous shoes out there. Everybody had it on, and it was kind of like it was kind of like the quintessential tennis shoe. Kind of had everything in it. It was lightweight, stable, good tread. But the newer ones, not the newest, the ones that are coming out in the summer, but the 18s, the one in 2018, I actually don't like those all that much. I think they hug your foot a little bit too much. Okay. They're okay, and like I said, the Barricades are always good. Like if I were, let's say my shoes broke and I had to go to a store and get a pair of shoes, I didn't know what to get. You could always get a pair of Barricades. They're going to do well. But definitely not the best shoes I've ever worn. Not now. I would say that's probably the Court FF2. On hard courts, the GP Turbo for sure. And I forget what iteration of the Barricade. I think it was the 4 or 5s were
the 5s were the ones I grew up with, and was that when the MI customization came out for it as well?
I think
that was
so.
Like 2008-9 when those
somewhere
first came
out.
out.
Yeah, like right after I went out of college. Yeah.
Yeah, and I used the Barricade for a really long time. Then I switched to Loto. Then I had Wilson first, Barricade, Loto, Adidas, Nike, and then I'm kind of switching between Adidas and Nike right now, between the Ubersonic 2s and the GP Turbos, because I don't know what it is, but I like the feel that the Ubersonics provide for, at least for the ankle, like the no tongue feel with laces.
Yeah, and then they have the plastic winglets on them, so you're getting a lot of stability. When I took the Ubersonic 2s out of the box, I thought I was going to hate them.
Really?
My dad and I were sitting on the court making fun of him. He's laughing at me, saying, "You're going to fall over." And then I put them on, and I loved them. They were phenomenal. They're aerodynamic, first of all.
Yes.
Number 2,
lighter than you think.
Yeah, and the last is a little bit straighter on them, but they're aerodynamic, so they push off really well. They ended up, and then the lace closure on them goes really deep down on the medial and lateral sides. When you tie them, the whole thing's tying. And so for a lighter shoe and for a more of an expandable elastic shoe, it does give you quite a bit of security. And I think that's why Adidas brought it back. That shoe's kind of like lightning in a bottle if you want a speed focused shoe.
What's a shoe that I can't talk today? Jesus Christ. What's a shoe that you think on paper that you looked at was going to be really good, but ended up being the worst, or like did not live up to your expectation?
That's a good question. Well, I can tell you which one was hyped to me the most, that everybody said, you have to try this. It's going to be your favorite shoe, and this is going to be the best thing. And it's the ASICS Solution Speed FF. That is one of the worst shoes I've ever put on.
Really?
Yeah.
I never
It's too narrow. Well, so put it this way, it's not narrow, but it plays narrow. The last isn't very, like the heel's not very wide, the midfoot's not very wide, so it's not very stable. It doesn't breathe. So you're like, there's no reinforcement in the uppers. So it's just this kid's shoe in the upper, but it doesn't breathe. There's no air channels. Jesus. So it doesn't breathe at all. It doesn't have any reinforcement, but it has these like plastic winglets, not winglets, but like just stamps on them in the forefoot. But they don't do anything. And in my video, I say, it feels like you gain 10 pounds and you're trying to squeeze into your pants. Like that's what it feels like when you're in that shoe. The tongue is really thin. The midsole's fine because it's ASICS Flight Foam, and ASICS Flight Foam is one of the best foams out there. But you know, the treads are just, they're like racing skids. So if you're not on a really gritty hard court, I don't think they grip very. I mean, they grip fine, but they're just not. I just feel like, and they're like $129. You're gonna spend that much money on a shoe. I mean, I don't want I don't want a second. Like they're fine if it's like their, you know, Nike Prestige or like, you know, the Wild Cards, you know, like the cheaper versions, right? If they were like the under $100, I'd say, all right, fine. But they're not tennis shoes. You know, they're sprinter shoes.
They're running
and they're
shoes.
Great. And, like they're really good if you're a serve and volleyer, right? If you just got to get from the baseline to the net really quick, right? They're aerodynamic and they're lightweight. So great. If you're tall and you're a serve and volleyer, then you're probably going to like them. But if you play, you know, it all from the baseline, you're retrieving it all. You're playing more like the modern game. I hate that term, but the modern game. Then I just, you know, and I tell you what, the first couple of videos I did, everyone's like, you have to do the solution speed. You have to do the solution. So okay, I'll do the solution speed. Fine, I'll do the solution speed. Now, what is everyone talking about with these? You know, so that was one and then Tennis Magazine rated the Mizuno Wave Exceed Tour 4 as the best shoe of the year.
Mizuno?
Mizuno, the 4s, the Wave Exceed Tour 4s.
Why?
And I have no idea. I mean, the treads on them for hard courts are probably the best you could buy.
Okay.
They're super grippy. You get a really low to the ground feeling on them, but remember that low to the ground feeling also means that they're going to wear through quicker and that they're going to start to hurt quicker. And I just didn't see. I liked them actually. I thought they were decent shoes, but I could just tell if after a month in them, I was probably, you know, I was going to end up having foot pain or knee pain or something. So that was another one I thought, you know, it's just, you know.
Because when I think Mizuno, I think of volleyball and how flat they make the bottoms of the shoe, because you need that low, like you said, that low to ground grip that you need to quickly split and turn.
Right.
So when they made a tennis shoe, I was curious about getting them, but it never really appealed to me in terms of how well is this going to play for my style of game.
If they could get the treads and manufacture a little more of a substantial shoe, they'd probably have something. Because for a hard court, Mizuno's treads are some of the most grippy, stable, really feel good. I mean, it's almost like their treads compared to some others are like Singut versus like NXT. Okay, you know, they're just like really good feeling. Like you can almost feel the court with them. So I really did like that. I thought the treads were phenomenal. Just everything else was just meh.
It was just not that good of a feel.
Yeah, and like I said, the people that like the lightweight or the people that like low to the ground shoes will love those. I mean, love them. It's just that people that need a little more. So remember, I come from this as a foot doctor.
Yeah.
So if I was just coming at this from a pure player's perspective, I'd say right out of the box, I'd say, oh my God, these are phenomenal. I mean, I can feel the court. I feel great. But just knowing kind of what I know down the road, what's going to happen 4 months later when someone walks into my office, that's kind of where the disconnect was with those.
I feel that. And I think the last thing that I want to wrap up with is this was very interesting to me when you said that you don't want to be sponsored by a shoe company, or you don't want to be paid to do a shoe review because you feel like you wouldn't give your honest opinion on it because there's more incentive behind it. Talk to us about why you feel that this should be done more, because I feel like you had a very good point before I started recording about it.
Well, I'm just, I come from the medical field. So when physicians try to come in or lecture that, on a subject and they're being paid, you just don't know where their motivation lies in that. And it's not saying that, I wouldn't take a shoe if someone gave it to me. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or, if someone wanted to sponsor the channel, that's great. It's just that, I would never, it's just not me to go on to my channel and go tell someone that the ASICS Solution Speed FF is the best shoe I've ever put on, because nobody would trust me after that, because someone would try them on and say, all right, well, he just said that shoe X was great and he's saying this one's better. And there's just no way. I just, to me, I can't, it's hard to lie about tennis shoes because someone's going to go put them on, and I've seen it so many times in the medical field where people have these ulterior motives behind what they're speaking on. And then someone goes and tries it and someone ends up with, something a lot worse than a bad tennis shoe. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And because I see that all the time where these just ridiculous voodoo medicine things are being hawked all over the place. And then some sucker goes out and decides they're going to use it because they saw Joe Schmo talk on it. And then all of a sudden someone's got a mangled foot or whatever. And, it's still happening right now. I see it literally every day. And so that kind of tainted me a little bit. But like I said, if Yeti wants to come and sponsor the channel, or if Nike wants to, get sponsored with clothes and stuff, great. I'll wear every piece of dry fit they give me.
100%.
And if they want to send me the pair, if they want to send me the Nike Vapor Next, phenomenal. I'll review it for sure. It's just that,
you'll give your honest opinion on it. And
if it doesn't come in as fast on my suicide test as the Adidas one does, it just doesn't. I'm not going to speed up the tape to make it better. So that's kind of,
you're not going to accommodate what they did for you, because I think that's very interesting, because you're putting your reputation as a doctor and as a specialist and as a professional on the line, because while you do YouTube and you do these reviews, you're also putting your reputation on the line as someone credible that actually works to make someone feel better.
Right. Yeah. And if you look at, if you watch any YouTube videos, on the cryptocurrency space, because I'm interested in everything investing. So of course, I pay attention to that.
Of course.
And some of the videos you see there, they're telling, oh, this is going to be the next revolution in finance. And then the thing goes from $20 down to 5 cents.
Yeah.
And so, you never want to become a moon boy or just, a fanboy of these things. And when I get excited about a shoe, or when I get excited about a piece of tech or a tennis racket, because now I'm doing racket reviews, I want people to know that is genuine, that my enthusiasm for this is genuine. In that it's not just a quick example is the new V13 Pro Staffs.
Yeah.
So I sometimes, I've played with the Wilson racket a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes Wilson really just irks me. Because you go on Instagram and everyone's hawking Wilson. Wilson is the greatest brand ever. Wilson is going to solve world hunger, right? And
brand ambassadors.
When I got those 3 Wilsons in my hands, I'm ready to tear these things apart. I can't wait for these not to be good. And that the 97 mid, the PS97 V13 has been the best tennis racket I have ever played with. And so I went out there and said it, you know, and as much as I hated to say it because I couldn't stand when everyone was talking about these rackets so much, I'm thinking, well, that's what, you know, so, you know, it's for better or for worse with this. So, you know, when I get excited or when I say this is good, you know, or I want people to know that, you know, I actually do believe it.
It's kind of the complete opposite of the ASICs that people told you to try. That that you wanted to, like, let's try this. Then it's like, no, it's terrible.
I wanted to like them. Yeah, I wanted to like them. Yeah,
and you didn't.
No,
no, that's the truth though. That's the truth though. So, Zach, I really appreciate you coming in to talk about shoes and everything with what you do, because this is very interesting. I think people that are subscribed to my channel but aren't subscribed to Zach. Zach has more subscribers than I do as of right now, and I want you guys to go follow him, because it's what you do is very useful for the tennis world, and I think a lot more people need to take recognition of that in terms of a hype level, I would say, in my opinion, because no one does what you do. So I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No worries. So make sure to go follow him, and I really appreciate all of you guys watching and following along. Hope to see you guys soon. Thanks, guys.